Hey everyone, thank you all for tuning in. Uh, Here to post a video long overdue of how I break down these nutrient charts when we're growing in a soil medium. We have advanced nutrients before us, we have general hydroponics, and we have a future harvest feeding chart. My apologies, my printer was down. I wanted to get powdered water soluble chart going too, but the principle remains the same. And near the end of the video here, we have a pH availability, nutrient availability chart that came with our general hydroponics from ages ago. Kind of cover a little bit of pH drift and the benefits of that as well. Alright, so without any further delay, let's take a look at these nutrient charts here and take a look at some of these numbers. Alright, well, first things first. Regarding the charts and everything like that, we are going to take into consideration our pot size, plant size, and the space that we're growing in for our indoor kind of garden. Outdoor, kind of the same thing. Want to take into consideration your pot size and the plant size that you're growing. For our 2x4 or our one pot, one plant kind of situation, we got a 5 to 7 gallon following a feed water feed program. Our 7 gallon in the 3x3, we get away with the feed water feed. We're covering every square inch of space given to us. And then in the 4x4, with the 7 gallon, we're pushing the limits with more frequent feeding and a feed, water feed kind of program and schedule. So let's go back to the charts. Alright, so we'll take a look at this one first. You'll notice to the left we have a basic program, an advanced additives program, and an advanced flowering program. So for the content, or relative to the channel and the content that's on there, we can get away with the basic program if you're just starting out. For the best possible results though, I recommend going with the advanced additives and the advanced flowering program to get the best possible results. And taking a look at the general hydroponics, this one's more for your obvious hydroponics. Same song and dance with the for glow, our base nutrients, our roots, weight, aroma, size, flavor, ripening. I recommend running them all. And then last but not least, we have the one that we're running for our grow journal, the advanced nutrients, and our vegetative cycle, and then our flower cycle. So for the best possible results, we run all of them. We'll run the full lineup that each company has to offer. So this kind of applies to all the nutrient charts. The fertilizers kind of similar to this, and your dry amendments. But for sake of it, we're going to focus on this one with soil. So let's take a look. I don't even have to really say anything, it says it right here. For additional weeks of growth, repeat week 2 or 3. Same thing for additional weeks of bloom, 6 and 7. Also, they mention do not premix nutrients, add to water only. And what they mean by that is they'll take all these bottles here and just add them to this without having water first, and then adding each of these, mixing them in as we go, respectively. Another thing you may notice is on each bottle they all have their own individual pipette or a syringe with macro line, so I can measure them without having to use one and cross-contaminate my bottles and stuff like that. We like to keep them separated. Another thing we should note, if you're running silica, always add your silica first, whether it be in a liquid form, shake your bottles up because stuff likes to settle with each and every one, or if you're using water soluble, always add your silica first, make sure it's mixed in well and dissolved fully, or mixed in quite well before adding your base nutrients or anything else, and rinse and repeat as you go. And also, if you're running dries, I'd have like different measuring little cups and stuff like that. So, taking it back, a peek back over here, we can see with our general hydroponics. I know a lot of people starting out might be running general hydro. So in soil, we can see they do run a little hot. This is another thing I should point out. So take a look at their total ppms. You know, week 3, 1200 to 1400, 1000, 1200, week 2. Take a look at this one, also has suggested ppm range. And in their weeks 1, 2, and 3 are 5, 7, 8, 1, 112. So our general hydroponics a little bit stronger, just good to note. So you might want to start off half the recommended, then the recommended when starting out introducing your fertilizers to your soil and your medium. So following the feed, water, feed schedule, that's gonna help us. It's gonna ensure we use up all our nutrients in our soil medium. I'm gonna cover that real quick, but before we move on to that, I thought I'd cover, if we're going past veg in week 3, you'll notice this chart has a 10, 10, 5. We won't adjust these numbers. I know a common mistake over here. We're going to take a look at this one. People will think, okay, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6. Obviously, it must be 5 milliliters, 6 milliliters, 7 milliliters, and so on. That's not the case. If we're going into subsequent weeks after week 4, on this chart, we will stick to the 4 milliliters per liter. Same song and dance over here. If we're going to if we're going in 2 weeks 4, 5, 6, as it's mentioned here, for additional weeks of growth, we will repeat week 3 with the 10, 10, 5. And going on from there with the feed, water, feed kind of schedule and program that we're going to be following along. That's going to keep us from running into a lockout, and all that's going to change as our plants grow in the vegetative cycle is the frequency of feedings that we're giving them. So these numbers will always stay the same. We live by the numbers in this case. So anything beyond that, when we're ready to flip over to our bloom phase, we will start at the transition. So that could be week 12 or whatever after your veg. Then you'd start your transition and go into your flower phase, which will be easier to stick to the kind of chart as we progress with the vegetative stage, you know, and as the plants grow, the roots grow, and our dry back will go from 7 days it takes for our soil or medium to dry out, down to 6, down to 5, down to 4, 3, 2, 1, so forth, so on and so forth. Obviously, we don't want to be having to fertilize or water them every day, so we will transition into our bloom phase before that happens. Probably when we get closer to every 3 days, our soil is drying up and we're able to feed and water them twice in a week. So, you know, some of you might be growing something that you're not in control of the bloom cycle. It might bloom on its own, so don't panic. Stick to the feed, water, feed cycle going into the bloom, and this is why we're going to do it. The best way I can kind of decipher that or make sense of it, my own little twist is like Ohm's law comes to mind with resistance. So we have pictured here, add a couple dots to that. We have our newts in a watering can. They're going through, passing into the soil, which will be our resistance. You can see the dots, got quite a few there, and then going to the plant. Cocoa, same thing, a little bit less dots, less resistance to the plant, and then our watering can again, going through water, which will be our hydro, no resistance, straight to the plant, gets what it wants when it wants it. Alright, so because we're growing in soil, we have a bit of a resistance. Some of the nutrients, when we're feeding them, they don't all get absorbed by the plants. Some of them are left behind. And what that does is, over time, if you're consistently feeding with every watering, we're going to start to see a buildup of nutrients and stuff in our soil, which will ultimately bring us into a lockout. And it's a lot harder to recover from a lockout than it is a deficiency at that point. So in following a feed cycle, every time we feed it and we water it, in between there's a little bit less left behind, so on and so forth, until we get to a happy medium where it's starting to take a majority of the nutrients, and your plant's already by that time well on its way and covering every square inch of your grow space, especially if you're in a 2x4 3x3 with a 7-gallon pot. The right pot size for the right space plays a big role when it comes to indoor. Also, in doing so, in the vegetative stage, you might get to a point in bloom where you could give it a back-to-back feed and your plant may be able to take it and benefit. But the only thing that we're going to run into, and the other problem, the safest way to make it from start to finish, slow and steady, less is more, is following that feed from the vegetative stage going into the bloom stage. And at the first sign of a deficiency, you will increase the frequency of feeding. So for an example, you might have it feed, water, feed. You're getting into the flower stage or mid-flower. You might go for a feed at a sign of deficiency, and then back to your regular programming. And by that time, your plant's starting to slow down and starting to uptake less as it nears the end of its life and senescence and all that fun stuff. Well, it doesn't look like I have enough time today to cover nutrient availability according to the pH chart, so I'll have to make a separate video about that. Hopefully that helps you guys have a better understanding of the feed charts and how we kind of run our watering program for all of our plants, and how it's worked out for us. If you found this information useful, let me know. Like and subscribe.